Wales get it done again over the Springboks, 20 points to 11. Going into this game, I looked at some of the numbers and whatnot and thought maybe it's going to be pretty low scoring. And then Wales, man, bam, bam, early on, 2 big tries. I mean, to be fair, Pieter-Steph du Toit for the Boks, who again is a bit of a workhorse, made a whole bunch of tackles. He had a foot in touch early, otherwise he could have been in for the first try. But yeah, foot in touch, so nothing doing. But not long after, Thomas Francis, of all players, my wife had literally just commented about his hairdo. She's not a fan, but she should be after seeing that try. But Jenkins had a little dummy during that, and it was a sweet little move. 7 points to 0 after 10 minutes for Wales, and then not long after, Liam Williams, Wales have got a scrum. They move the ball. Dianti is kind of caught going in out of the line, shooting up, and there's space out there, so Williams gets the ball, goes in for another try. 14 points to 0 pretty early on, and it was looking like it was going to be an absolute try fest, but they did slow down after that. Pollard kicked a penalty after 19 minutes, make it 14-3. Missed another penalty not long after that, right after the commentators had complimented his kicking, which is always the way it goes. Anscombe hit the post as well. South Africa kind of almost got a try right before half-time. The TMO had to go in and check whether the ball had been grounded after they'd taken a little tap 5 metres out from the Welsh line. But, I mean, correct decision for me, because it was one of those ones where you just go with whatever the ref's call was. The ref's call was, I didn't see a grounding, so no try. You check it for me, and yeah, there was no clear evidence to say that it was scored. I mean, maybe it got down there, but if there's no clear evidence, you can't overrule it. Opposite, if it had been, I've seen the grounding, can you just confirm it for me? I think it would have been given a try. So it was one of those ones that was kind of right on the line. So it's probably good that you just go with whatever the ref's on-field call was. That way there's less controversy. But yeah, man, the Welsh defence, which is pretty renowned by this point, it held the Boks out after the kind of late surge. That's how it went at half-time. Half-time stats was pretty much Wales for most of that first half. I mean, as you can see by two scores early on. Run meters, 182 to 132. Possession territory, 57 to Wales, 43 to the Boks. Tackling percentage, interestingly, the Boks were a bit higher, 86% to Wales, 80. So both sides still pretty solid. But the second half really swung the direction of the Springboks, and it's another case of them not being able to finish, but also a case of Welsh defence just being so miserly and so hard to break down. They did manage to get the one try through Creel after a load of pressure. LaRue kind of got a try assist with some pretty quick hands, and it took a bit of magic to break that Welsh defence. They missed the conversions, so that made it 14 points to 8. Yankees got a penalty to make it 14-11. So really within striking distance, but then just as Wales were kind of starting to really get under the pump, they brought on Dan Biggar, and oh my lord, did the thing just settle down after he came on. I mean, it's probably not Anscombe's best effort in a Welsh shirt. I've really been a fan of his this season, especially when I've seen playing for Cardiff and what games I've seen of the Pro 14 and of the Champions Cup. He's been really assured, and I was like, he's taken a step up. He missed a couple of kicks at touch this week, so not his best shift, but when Biggar came on, man, his kicking from hand and from a tee just seemed to settle things right back down, and that it really took the game away from the Boks. He kicked a penalty on 67, then a 71, so that took it out to 20 points to 11, and it just left the Boks with too much to do at the end. They did try running it even past 80 minutes to try and get one last score, but it was not to be. Both sides had guys go off early. The Boks lost Snyman, which was a bit of a pity because, and the commentators mentioned it as well, that Etzebeth had only just come back from injury. He was kind of doubtful going into this week, and he had to play the majority of the game because Snyman went off really early. And also, crucially for Wales, man, Moriarty went off early, and he's been a tackling machine. So it was a pity to see him go off pretty early, but that Welsh back row just kept on doing what it does even without him, because they had a whole bunch of tackles amongst those three guys. Yeah, some poor passes from Pollard early. He's been a man in form, so that was a wee bit disappointing. But Yankees came on earlier than he usually does, and showed us a few kind of fine touches. Box also gave away a few silly penalties, like Vermeulen gave one where he just like blew over the top of a ruck that was kind of like, what are you doing, man? Totally unnecessary. That wasn't... I don't think they were at any risk of really losing that ball at the breakdown, but he just blew right over and the ref blew it up. Papia, the young number 9, had a chance where he used that gas of his, which is apparently a thing, because I knew he was fast, but he's apparently legitimately quite fast. He turned George North, had a little kick through, but he just knocked it on. He couldn't regather. He probably was covered by Williams anyway, but it was a little bit of brilliance. Colby was dangerous when he got the ball. There was one moment though where Jenkins caught him. I think he was injured at the end of the game. I'm still yet to see what the update is on him. But Jenkins caught Colby, and Colby is like the light-footed little, guy's able to step inside and make guys look silly with his fleet-footedness. But man, the one kind of problem with that is if you're small and a guy like Jenkins catches you, it's just like, come here, you're not moving. And it was a maul turnover, so I think he got man of the match. So he was like heaps of tackles, turnover, massive shift from him. And that moment just epitomized that the guy's trying to jink and jive around him, and he just got him. So that was kind of the story of the day. Francis, again, the try scorer. One moment where the Boks were on attack, and then the ball just popped loose, and the first man to it is the Welsh prop. Shows a bit of desperation for what they were doing. So yeah, Boks, heaps of pressure, heaps of ball in that second half. The full-time stats for possession and territory ended up being 55-45 to the Boks, because the second half was almost close to 70%. But I would imagine it evened out a bit towards the end of that second half when Bigger came on and a few other subs, and they just managed to really settle things down. Not to say Wales didn't have their own kind of moments in the second half. Like Jonathan Davis had a decent little break, but the Boks managed to scramble and prevent a try, although they did give away a penalty at that time. But yeah, man, pretty good atmosphere looking at the crowd. Marks had a heap of breakdown turnovers, so he was immense. Back to kind of the Malcolm Marks that we've seen throughout Super Rugby. The guy's been a turnover machine, and he's been a little bit quiet in November. A couple of games where he got a few, but this game he was really on top of it. But I mean, you look at some of the other guys' stats, like Deanti was limited to 4 runs for 7 metres, is how quiet that Welsh defence kept him. As I said, Jenkins made a whole bunch of tackles, so that was very good. And yeah, Bigger, man, settled things right down. Full-time stats, South Africa edged the run meters, but not by a whole lot. Tackling percentage, South Africa was actually a bit higher, 85% to Wales' 79%, which is surprising. But overall, they look pretty hard to break down. Funsail for the Boks, probably a little errors, too many. Can't think straight, but yeah, Funsail didn't have his best performance. Some of those kicks were a bit iffy. Like as when Bigger came on for Wales, it lifted the team. Funsail, I don't know, for mine didn't have a stellar performance anyway. Turnovers conceded one area where Wales did really well, as they conceded a fair few less, 4 less than the Boks did. Also one fewer penalty. So yeah, man, lots of Bok fans in that crowd, but it's still a pretty loud Welsh crowd. And they can be pretty proud of that performance. They would have gone down if the Boks had beaten them. But once again, Wales proved to have the edge over the Boks. It's going to be an interesting one going forward. They did ask Sia Kolisi at the end of the game if there's kind of a mental thing against Wales now, and he said no, it's a different game each time, so we'll just take it as it comes. But if you lose enough times, I mean, just ask Wales. They got that monkey off the back with Australia recently. it's nice to get a victory over a team that seems to have the wood over you, and that is Wales for the Boks at the minute. They also interviewed Alan Wynne-Jones, and yeah, he seemed pretty chuffed with the performance and just really pleased with that depth in Wales. And I can see why, because they've just got so many guys. Like Jenkins wasn't even supposed to be starting from memory. He just came on, like Colby, just came on as a kind of late replacement and then put in a massive shift. So congratulations to Wales, man. That's a big performance. They are just in hot form, man, because nobody seems to be able to beat them. I'm looking forward to see how they go in Six Nations. For the Boks, it's another case of 2 steps forward and then 1 step back. Moments of brilliance. They had enough ball and chances to do things, but the execution at key times just let them down. If you are a Boks fan, I would just say you're on the right track. It's just not, the pieces of the puzzle aren't quite all there yet. For Wales, you've had that man in charge for a long time, and he seems to have all his ducks in a row heading into 2019, so it's pretty encouraging. Anyway, you guys let me know what you thought of the game. Key players, key moments, all that good stuff, and yeah, I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.